One of the things that I have a question for, and again, I think it matters. I'm very curious on the answer. So when the Kaepernick thing started, I was critical of it. And as it's continued, baseball players now, I heard you say, if they kneel, you'll turn the game off.
Yeah.
And we got the Black Lives Matter protests. So for me, it's like, how does somebody who's dissatisfied, in your world, what's the way for them to show it? Because we don't want them looting and doing all the stuff they're doing. To me, that's like a silent protest that is far better than going on the streets and create crime. So I'm curious, what would you do if you had an issue with the country or something to show your displeasure?
Well, I mean, you can always say you run for office, right? You become successful. You can run for a lower office. You can do things. But there are ways. You get groups together, and there can be very friendly ways of doing it, very successful. I mean, you're going to have rebounds, negative rebounds, if it keeps up the way it is. Like, as an example, Portland, this is crazy. 51 days, we sent in very powerful, not military, but very strong people. The police are good, but they were told not to do anything, by the radical left mayor. No, you have to go out and you have to say and speak your mind is good. I think speaking your mind is good, but you have to do it fairly. We are for justice, but we're for law and order. It's got to be law and order, and there is law and order. I put something out when they were starting to rip down statues. I went out, I found an old law, an old bill. You couldn't get it passed today. You get 10 years in jail. 10 years and no games, and we have a lot of people in jail right now. If you rip down a statue, a federal statue, because the states have to take care of their own, unfortunately, because I do that too. But you rip down a federal statue, you get 10 years in jail. 10 years, no, 3 months. And nothing's happened since then. It was amazing. I signed it. I had a news conference. I said, if you do it, and we were supposed to have thousands of people march on Washington that day. Nobody showed up.
How do we close the divide? Like, at my age, it's like, it just seems half the country hates the other half, and no matter what you say, you can't get along. So, and you're the lightning rod. There's no doubt about that. In my mind, do you agree with that? That you're like the lightning rod?
Sometimes for a purpose. I mean, but
how do we bring it together so the two sides right now that are our heads can be like, you're my guy?
I think it was happening, and then we got hit by the China virus. Okay, I think it was happening. Success. Our country never did better. The best employment numbers in the history of our country, best unemployment numbers, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, everybody, best unemployment numbers in history, best stock market we've ever had, although I must tell you, as you know probably very well, the stock market's almost at the same level right now, which is a great tribute.
I wasn't watching it today. That's why I went down today. I've been killing the stock market.
But the stock market has been absolutely great. And a lot of things are happening. Great housing numbers the other day, great everything. We're doing really well, and we're trying to get rid of the rest of this pandemic. But success does it, and we were ready to do it, because if you look at when you say Hispanic or when you say African American, Asian American, they were all working. Everybody was making a lot of money. Everybody was doing good, and it was coming together.
I don't know that a Black Lives Matter person would be like, well, the economy, great, but we still want the president to come out, whether it be Twitter or whatever, and be like, have our back. So that's where, like, the kneeling and things like that seems like such a small concession in the thing to be like, yep, Donald's our guy.
Yeah, I don't like the kneeling. I must be honest with you. I don't like the kneeling. I didn't like it for the NFL. I think there are many ways of showing you're unhappy, because when the NFL saw what was happening, I know exactly. I know that. I've heard that, actually. But, and I don't know why he did. In the middle of the summer, all of a sudden, sitting in a T-shirt in his basement, he came out with this thing about that nobody was even thinking about.
He spiked that's vintage Goodell. Nobody was talking about it, and he brought it back to the forefront.
I don't understand. He's talking in the middle of the summer. He comes out, and he's sitting there, and he looked, nice, but I wouldn't say like Mariana. He looked nice in his T-shirt. Okay, I don't know if I'd look much worse than that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't wear a T-shirt. I think he would have looked better in a suit and tie.
That's why your Twitter game's strong.
No, he would have looked better in a suit and tie. If I had any advice, number one, he could have waited till at least the fall, right? But more importantly, I would have worn a suit.
Yes.
Or a tie. Or even an open shirt that's loose, not tight.
I got you.
Okay, so he came out with this thing, Dave, and everyone's saying, where did this come from now?
Right.
And the whole big thing started, and he's made a mistake.